Have you ever wondered what are some items that you need in your kitchen? Well, I'm going to provide information to let you know what you need to equip your kitchen with so that you can make food and recipes for you and your family. Let's get started. So, one of the first things that is important in our kitchen are our knives. I buy just a standard knife block from the store. So one of the things that you'll notice about some of the things that I have up here or that I tell you is that I'm always taking cost into consideration. I don't have a lot of money, as a lot of people don't, and I don't want to waste it if I don't need to. So I don't believe too much in brand names. So I just went to a basic store and got me a normal knife block. It doesn't mean that you need to go and purchase name brand kind of stuff. You just need to make sure that you take care of the items that you have. So one of the most important knives that we have is our chef's knife. You can buy a kitchen block that might have just one of them or maybe even two of them. And this knife is pretty versatile that you can use to cut up your meats or your fruits or veggies or just pretty much anything. So if you don't have any other knife, make sure that you have a chef's knife. We also have information in our extension office that we can share with you about the care and upkeep of your knives, how to sharpen your knives, as well as what some of the different knives are used for. Some of the basic ones that I have is just a simple paring knife. This knife is good if I'm just cutting something small like an apple, or it's also good for my young children who I'm trying to get into the kitchen and teach them a little bit about preparing food. This is something I trust them with, maybe not fully the chef's knife yet, but those are kind of the main two knives that I recommend that everyone have in their kitchen. You can get some other ones. Sometimes they'll come with different things. This is my bread knife. It has a nice, little edge right here, so it will cut up the bread nicely without ripping it and tearing it into pieces. Also with my knife block, a lot of them come with scissors or kitchen shears, as we call them. This is always good to have because I can never find my normal scissors around the house because my kids are always using them for different craft projects. But I always need that to help open or cut up a bag because I don't want to try to rip it and then it busts and I can't really reseal it that well anymore. So make sure you have some knives at your disposal. One of the other things that I have is just a simple baking sheet. Okay, you can make cookies, you can put different vegetables on here and roast them in your oven. In fact, I cut up and made some sweet potato chips earlier for lunch. I always like using aluminum foil because it makes cleanup so much easier. I can use my spatula and get the chips off my aluminum foil, grab up the aluminum foil and just toss it away. Very minimal cleanup on the pan is actually needed. And in order to get my sweet potato chips that I made, you can make fries or other things. One of the things that I just purchased a couple of years ago in my kitchen is what's called a mandolin. So this is not something, again, I've had for very long, and I mainly just use it to make some chips. Is the main thing. It's got two different blades. So mine's orange because I haven't washed it. I just cut it up this morning. And it has it where I can use to adjust the blade so it'll cut thin slices, or I can do thicker slices if I want thick slices for something. All I did was put them on a pan and turned on my oven just to like 350, sprayed the aluminum foil with some cooking spray. This is always important in my kitchen too, just to give it a little bit of that grease so it's easier to get the spatula to get them up. Otherwise, sometimes things could stick to the aluminum foil, and you don't want to have that happen. So the most important part of the mandolin is this part. This is what's called the guard. So you put your potato or whatever you're doing on this thing, and so you're up here and you're just slicing. That's all you're doing, okay? So you want to use the guard because as your potato or whatever gets smaller, your hand gets closer and closer to that there. I've seen people who thought they could do it without using the guard and have severely cut their fingers. So make sure you don't do that. It's very important. You also notice, and all this stuff pops out so you can put it easily into the dishwasher in pieces and very easy to clean. You'll notice that I have two different cutting boards here. Not only are they two different colors, but they're two different sizes. So if I'm cutting something simple like an apple, just a small cutting board will do. I don't need a big one. But I like having two, so if I'm cutting, I've got the red one, I know what that's for. For my green, veggies or different things like that. You always want to keep your raw products on a different cutting board than your fresh, kind of ready to eat stuff. Or make sure that you're preparing them in the proper order. So you can cut up your raw vegetables first, use that same cutting board to do the raw meats second. But you don't want to do the raw and then use that same cutting board unless you've cleaned it and sanitized it to do that. So I will roast a lot of veggies in my oven right there. I love doing those. Just making sure when you're cutting them up, you're cutting them into relatively the same size pieces. So the small pieces don't burn while the other ones are still uncooked. Also, having just basic pans or pots, again, you don't need a huge set. You don't need brand names, just basic ones. Some people love the non-stick. Some people, don't. We have some cast iron pans here. We just purchased a wok because we want to do some more with different vegetables and different things like that. Just finding out which ones work for you. Starting small is good. You can have a small little pot, like a 3-quart pot that you're using to cook rice or canned veggies or some gravies or different things like that. And I have a bigger pot that I use for my pasta dishes. So I used it for several years. A lot of these different things were either given to me or my parents purchased them, didn't use it, or they buy one, get one free or something like that. So I can't tell you all the different places I got them, but nowadays you can just search for anything online and probably find it. But one of the things I love about this big pot is it has holes right here and smaller holes right here. So when I'm cooking my pasta, the handles right here hold the lid down. So I'm not touching the lid, I'm just touching the handles, and I can go over to my sink and pour out the hot water. I can drain the water from my pasta without having to get a normal pot and use a colander and worry about if the top's going to fall off the pot and all my noodles are going to go in the sink or something like that. So this has been a really good addition. I do have a colander that I will use for certain things too. So this is my colander, or one of them. I like that this one has a little hook right here. So it will actually hook around my sink faucet right there. And if you have one of those kitchens that you have things like hanging up, above or whatever, it has a little hook there that you could even do that. But I really like this colander. It just hooks right there on my sink, so I don't have to hold it, or it doesn't have to sit in the bottom of my sink if I've got other stuff in my sink that I'm doing. One of the other things that I like to use, especially for breakfast, is my electric skillet. So again, this just plugs into the outlet. You can see from like the stain or whatever, it's been used for many, many years. It has all the grease drips down, and it has this little drip tray that I can just pull out and clean, and all of this fits into the dishwasher as well, but it's very easy to clean by hand too. So we will make pancakes, we'll make breakfast. We've even used 2 of these before and made kind of like a hibachi stir fry, having some meat and some rice and some veggies and different things like that, kind of like you would at a restaurant if they're cooking in front of you. This is a tool that I purchased, again, many years ago for my youngest daughter who loves to make pancakes. She loves pancakes, she loves waffles. So we'll do this, and we put the batter in here, and it has this little handle, and she just opens right here so she can let out how much batter she wants, move it over here, open it again, get a little batter, open it again, get a little batter. So she makes like good size battered pancakes, and she's not using a bowl to just pour it and it just all dumps out and goes too quick. So that's something that I purchased, just purchasing little things over time, and it lasts a long time for me. This time of year, I love my crock pot. I love just, dumping stuff in the morning, plugging it in, and dinner's ready when I get home. I make sure with 2 things with my crock pot. I have a big enough one. This is the only one I have. Some people have different sizes. I purchased a bigger one because I also use this around the holidays, and we don't do the turkey, we do a ham. And so I'll put a ham in here, and I'll do kind of like a maple syrup, pineapple, marinade thing in my ham, and so I have to have it big enough to cook a ham that's going to feed, 9 or so people. Also, I go to the grocery store and I get the slow cooker liner bags. So you probably might be familiar with your oven bags. If you have a big roasting pan that you put the bags maybe in there to help catch some of the juices or whatever else. So I'll put the bag, it lines inside here and kind of wraps around the edge, and the lid goes on and you cook it that way. When you're done, you serve it up, you put the leftovers up, and you just grab this bag just like you do the aluminum foil on your pan, and you can just toss the bag. Very little cleanup is needed in the crock pot. Nothing is stuck on or dried or whatever, but I also make sure the crock pot can come out of the actual insert here. Take the insert out. So this is something I can easily wash out any of the electrical, components in this base and washing any of that. This will even fit into my dishwasher as well. So that's something I do. If you are interested in more information about freezer meals, we do have recipes and information we can help you do that. If you want to know some recipes of how to cook things in your crock pot, if you have an Instapot, but you have some old slow cooker recipes, we can give you some information on how to convert those recipes for cooking in the slow cooker to how long you need to use that recipe and cook in the Instapot, what you do. So just let us know if you need any of that. One thing also, when I'm doing a little prep, I just have a lot of these little dishes. So, I can take this to work with a little, hummus or some kind of snack inside of it, but I'll use these when I'm prepping ahead of time. If I'm cutting up some onion the night before or tomatoes or whatever else, I can go ahead and cut it up and do some of the work because maybe I don't have as much time tonight, and it's got a little lid so it can stay in there. You see a lot of these kind of dishes in the cooking TV shows where they've got all their little dishes and they're just dumping everything in there and mixing it. It's already been pre-measured. All that work's been done for them. But I'll do it ahead of some of the times. Or sometimes I just have leftovers. If you need onions, little onions you want to cut up or dice for maybe to top, hot dogs you're having one night. You can, usually you cut up maybe a half of an onion for that. You might have onions left over, so you could just keep that in the little dish in there. So it came as a set, I think, of like 8 little dishes, so that's good for us too. I also, during the summertime, I love going and cooking out on my grill outside. We have a propane grill that we use, and we'll cook meats as well as vegetables and fruits. So a couple years ago, I bought these 2 pans that you can put, again, fruits or veggies in it, and you can set this pan, this is a nice metal pan that you can stick on top of, or maybe like you have a top shelf in your grill, and it'll cook that away from the meats. You don't have to worry about skewers if you don't want to. It's just nice having some grill baskets. You can also use aluminum foil. Putting that on the grate will work as well. Whenever you're cooking, whether it's on the grill, inside, whatever, and you're cooking meats, not only do you want to make sure you keep your raw meats separated from your fresh meats, you want to make sure that you're using a food thermometer. So a lot of times you can go to the grocery store and get one for $5 to $10. They have the dial thermometers. They're bimetallic stemmed thermometers. This is officially what they're called. And they'll just again, you stick it in there, and eventually the dial will move, and it'll tell you what the temperature of that food is. I have this one's a little bit more expensive, but I like it because it's a digital one, first of all, so it gives me a quick reading very fast within a couple of seconds there. I like this too because the digital ones, a lot of times they have the small little tip, okay? So when I'm sticking my thermometer into the food, I only need to stick it in that much. When you have the dialed thermometers, there's usually like a little divot or a little dot up halfway through the stem of the thermometer. You have to stick it in that much. And if you have very thin pieces of meat, you can't stack 5 hamburgers on top of each other and then stick it in there. That's not going to give you an accurate reading. It's going to give you an average of all of them. So making sure you're cooking your food to the right temperature. If you need to know what temperature it is, we have all kinds of information for that. But the gist of it is, if it's anything poultry, it's going to be 165 degrees internal temperature. If it's ground meats, again, other than poultry, it's going to be $155. And if it's, fish or steaks or chops, it's going to be $145. Again, it can vary, little things if you're making a casserole or different things like that, but we can provide that information to you as well. In addition to the pancake mixer, I've mentioned, or the pancake batter cup, I've mentioned that sometimes we got that because we have several mixing bowls. So I have these metal mixing bowls, and they have this little spout, this little divot right here, so it'll pour easily out, okay? A lot of bowls don't have that, so that helps it pour it so you can slow it down a little bit and you're not just dumping and it's all coming out. So I do have a couple of these. I also have, if you don't, have or want these, I do have some glass Pyrex dishes that are about the same sizes as these, but they have a lid to go on it. So, if you don't have room for both, sometimes the Pyrex ones, again, it doesn't have to be Pyrex, but something with a lid is what's good, because if I'm making, say, a chicken salad, or I'm making a salsa and I'm mixing stuff up or whatever, and maybe it's something I've prepped some stuff, but I'm going to actually cook it tomorrow, but I need to leave it in the bowl. I don't like leaving a bowl without a lid in there. So I like the ones that also have a lid that I can put, and it's easily to transport to if I'm going from one party to the next. I don't have a KitchenAid. Again, I don't have a lot of room in my kitchen, and I'm old school. I either use my arm or I use a hand mixer. So this is good too, because this is something that my children can help me do, and it teaches them how to cook as opposed to just dumping everything in the mixer and letting it do its thing. Plus those are really expensive, and I'm cheap. So the other two things that I have, again, were I think purchased or gifted to me. But I really enjoy them, so I'm going to show them to you as well. So just a reminder, I'm not promoting any particular brand or any particular product in this. I'm just showing you what I have in my kitchen and what I've used to equip my kitchen with. So someone gave me a magic bullet. It's kind of like a small handheld mixer here. So I don't have a big blender. It actually does come with a big blender, pitcher if I want to do that. But a lot of times I just use this. So it's just a simple, it comes with a couple of different cups. It comes with the blades. So you put whatever, fruit, ice, milk, peanut butter, spinach, whatever you want in your smoothies or milkshakes or your drinks or slushies or whatever else. You put this in here, and you just stick it on here, twist, and it'll pulsate and blend and mix all that up for you. Again, like I said, there's two different blades, so it will crush ice for you. So if you just want ice for like a snow cone, it's got several different recipes. I haven't made all the things that it can make. It can make, hummus and cheese dips and guacamole and all that stuff. I just mainly use it for a smoothie, and I don't usually use the big pitcher part. But I also like this because it's just these two pieces are what need to go into the dishwasher, and this serves as my cup that I can drink out of. So I don't have to use all of these things and break apart this blender and clean it all up and have all these extra pieces that aren't going to fit in my dishwasher that I'm going to hand wash. So saving time, saving money, and saving my energy too. The last thing is the oven. It's kind of like an air fryer, but it came out years ago, and they've had new revamped, additions and stuff like that. But this is the one that I got, and this is basically it's a convection oven. It does kind of the same thing as an air fryer. An air fryer is a little too small for my family. We have 5 people, so I can't cook enough chicken wings in an air fryer. I have to keep cooking over and over. So this one gives me a good amount of space. And if I'm cooking other stuff in my oven, this allows me an extra source that I can use it. Again, if I lose power, I can't, my generator won't run my oven or my stove maybe, but maybe it'll run some of these smaller appliances as well. So let me take the dome off here and show you the different pieces. So it comes again with a little tray. If I have small veggies or stuff that I want to cook that might fall through the grates, I can use that. But this is the little extender piece to get the dome up higher. So again, if I have a whole chicken, I'll wait till whole chicken is 99 cents at the store, and I'll go purchase that. And you can see that the dome sits on top, so I have enough room for an entire chicken in here. They have, newer toaster ovens that'll do kind of the same thing. To have different levels, or you could rotisserie a chicken. So some kind of tool like that, but this doesn't sit on my kitchen counter. It goes in one of my cabinets, but we use it a good little bit lately for chicken. It has different levels, 2 different levels, so I could put some, like, say, chicken thighs, you know, here, chicken breasts, or what, I mean, I can do whatever meat, it doesn't have to be chicken. I could put salmon or something like that, and then I could put the veggies above it. Again, food safety, we want to make sure that your raw products are below, so if it's dripping, it's not dripping any of that juice onto your vegetables. So the vegetables can go up here, or you can just not use this piece at all, don't use the extender, and just use the bottom part. So you don't have to use all the pieces there. All of these pieces, I mean, you don't have to put you know, you just clean the inside, you know, rim part here of the dome, but you don't take that apart and put that in the dishwasher. But all of these other pieces kind of go into the dishwasher well. And then at the very bottom of this is a lovely drip tray. So you might have seen the commercials, whether it's a, you know, kind of an air fryer, a New Wave, or a toaster oven or something, and all of that fat is dripping down, and all the grease ends up here as opposed to staying on your food. So you end up with, our chicken is always very juicy, or very moist, as well as the skin is very crispy and delicious when we do it. And I find it tastes better, even though it's an oven, and this is an oven, it tastes better because it still remains juicy, it still remains crispy on top. So I've enjoyed my food better with this. But again, if you don't have it, oven works perfectly well. There's nothing that I cook in here that I can't cook in here. I wouldn't go out and buy one of these. I just happen to have been given one, so I'm going to use it as well. So this is my kitchen. I thank you for joining me to learn how to equip your kitchen. Hopefully you've seen a couple of different tools. If you have any questions, or if you're interested in attending any of our workshops further about cooking or food, nutrition, diabetes, whatever, we are on social media. Like and follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube at Person Granville FCS. This has been your Food for Thought. Thanks for tuning in.